Hey guys, this is MC here with sort of a little impromptu sketchbook tour. I kind of noticed that every single sketchbook tour that you do find online is very professionally done, and the YouTuber always has a super nice camera set up, and you can definitely tell that these people have the time and can afford to make their sketchbook look really nice every single time. But this one right here is going to be a sketchbook that I started probably my senior year of high school. It took me over 10 years to finish. A lot of that can be explained by a gigantic gap I had and where I just never drew any artwork for, a couple of reasons. No time, no energy, yada yada. But I thought I'd go ahead and do a sketchbook tour from someone who's not a professional, who does not have a lot of money to spend on all that extra thingamajigs that go into these good things. So if this is unprofessional, it's because it's meant to be. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to have to scoot it forward to turn because I've got a lip on my desk here that you can't see. Alright. And like I said, I did start this sketchbook when I was maybe around, probably just turned 18 years old. But let's go ahead and get started. This right here was a little Gem Sona commission that I did. It's actually the second commission that I ever got. It was to make a talking puppet out of somebody's Gem Sona. I'm pretty sure this person actually still follows me. I don't know if they're still active, but I do know that they're still part of the, follower list. We've got the little face and our eyes broken down, the brows, the glasses. I went ahead and translated this all to digital and then just copy pasted them all together because I didn't and still don't know how to do digital media that well. And you'll notice all of my pages on this side are going to be super blank because I did not realize that you're supposed to cover the entire spread, not just right here, which is what I did. And there's the body and the arms for that commission. Here's the little mouths that I did. I tried to draw a guitar from memory and, gave up about halfway through. Fucking Vine reference there. Notice all this blank space, nothing there. Turn the page. We've got a little Kunari character from when I got really into Dragon Age. And same thing, all this blank area. One drawing doesn't have eyes because I didn't want to ruin it with eyes. Next, we've got some Homestuck stuff. Cronus, the Amphoras. Everybody knows I love the Amphoras because I'm a freak. But once again, all this blank space, and for some reason I just didn't fill it in. I like to think it's because my art teacher that I had at the time very much insisted that we should never draw on this page and that you should draw as large as you possibly can and to fill the entire page with one drawing and one drawing only. I had a bad art teacher in high school, only took one semester and did not go back because she was kind of mean and not very helpful with actual art. Got some style swap Amphoras here, also with no faces because I still have trouble with faces. Next we've got one of those rainbow colored pencils. I just started sketching, picked the lines that I kind of liked and took a Sharpie to them. I have no idea where this pencil is. I wish I knew where it was because it's hard to find them now. Once again, more blank areas. Got an Inquisitor doodle. I'm not sure what kind. Couple more Undertale drawings, a little jellyfish, some song lyrics. We've got some, I believe this is supposed to be Cankry? Yeah, I think this is supposed to be Cankry. We've got some faces and a couple different styles, all the exact same thing, just, face looking to the left, still all this blank, no color whatsoever yet because I was only using pencil at this time, occasionally a pen. This was going to be a webcomic that I had the plans for because I had an idea, I had some characters, didn't understand how difficult it was to actually start and create a webcomic, so that never took up off the ground. So we've got one character page here, a planned character page that, just never got any images on it. And then over here we actually have the first time I drew on the back, and the only reason I drew on the back was because I was running out of pages throughout the rest of the book, and I like to keep all of the same drawings I do at the same time in the same area. So I went ahead and just sketched out some situation. A guy comes into our restaurant, orders food, sits down, and eats. And then, you know, I realized you don't have to break it up this much. This is going to be a 2-panel situation, but, you know, that was my first delve into comic making, and that's about as far as it got. Got another little sketch, a little no-face sketch. I used to like to listen to music, and then I would just put it on repeat, draw whatever came to my head, and this is Tangerine. Blank page. Absolutely nothing. Waste of paper. We got a little robot guy here, Daniel. It looks like I originally had some words written down, but erased them? Who knows what it said. Don't ever erase things in your sketchbook, because later, when you come down the road, 10 years down the line, you're gonna wonder what you wrote. And, you know, you won't know. Here's a D&D character that I got to play with for a little bit. Had a fun time designing him. This is my Prismacolor collection. I went ahead and just tried to organize them as best as I could, mostly just by the color class. I didn't try to organize them within the color class or anything. A couple more D&D characters. Another D&D character that never got finished. There was supposed to be another one over here. I don't know who it was or where they went, so there we go. Be More Chill era. So we've got a couple of Michaels and a Squip. As you can see, these are all 2017s. So there's a pretty big time skip in here, because back here we started in, like, what? 2015. Yeah, it took me 2 years to get through all those pages. I'm a very slow artist. But we're now in 2017. Got another D&D character, Semi. Had a lot of fun with this one. This one was fun. This was my Michael Squip AU, where I made Michael into a Squip that makes you less popular, makes you become, you know, your own person. Micro Intel Computing Helper for Assisted Earnest Living. Michael. That was my little design of him, and I believe, yep, next page was the first and only official drawing that I ever did for the AU, and then I believe I actually converted this to digital, and this was like the last piece of artwork that I posted to my Tumblr account before I just stopped drawing, stopped doing everything for years. And yeah, this is still 2017, but yeah. Then we have I used to do this thing where I would compare alphabets with people. That's that thing. More messing around over here. Some more Be More Chill sketches. You know, torso, head looking to the left. There's nothing extreme here. I was at least drawing some faces at this point, but I will not lie to you. I've lost the ability of even those basic emotions to draw them now. This is actually not mine. This is a friend of mine. She grabbed my sketchbook and she started sketching out something. I don't think she is active on Tumblr anymore, but I really like her style. It's really bubbly and cute. First time I ever tried to draw like a person from life. It was very loose, very goose. I did not like it, so I stopped immediately and drew a little cartoon raccoon instead. This is actually a drawing from my husband, Phil. This is his D&D character. This was me desperately trying to get back into drawing. I do remember I was like, oh, I used to draw My Little Pony sometimes. Let me see if I can draw a pony. I started with this. Hated the shape, hated the thickness of the neck, hated the pointiness of the nose, and said, no, stop. Went over and tried it again. Noticed it looked more like a bat, so I drew a bat. I actually really like this bat. And then I tried to come down here and draw a face, and I even put an X through it. I hated it so much, I was so upset. And you can see how feathery all the lines were, because I'd just been out of practice for so long that I couldn't make a solid line. Here we're getting back into D&D stuff, and this is actually I think I did sketch this with a pencil and then went over it with pen, but this is a Friends D&D character from a group that we had. This little slot right here was another image, a D&D character of someone in the group, and then I actually ripped that one out, cut out around the character, and then gave it to them as a little gift. So that one's gone. This one's still here. This is when we actually started getting into drawing again. See? First step's me getting out of art block, and this is in 2021. A lot of these were pose references I pulled. I'm almost positive this was a pick crew that I really like the shape of, and I put my phone right here with the image and just tried to do it line for line so I could get used to making those same lines again and everything. And I think I did a pretty good job. And you know, it's Ed, Edd and Eddy artwork. What are you gonna do? Did a couple more pose references from one of my favorite pose artists online. Went ahead and did the same. Phone here, image here, boom, 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 until they're as close as I wanted. And I stopped, you know, when I didn't want to ruin the picture anymore. Ruin. Another pose reference. This one's a little bit large. I've noticed whenever I try to make my images really large, they either turn out really great, really detailed, or they get so much detail bogged down in them that I just don't want to continue. So I've tried to do medium to small images now. Also, this paper is enormous. So my new sketchbook over here is a square. It's like maybe this big instead of this big. This paper is so enormous. You have so much to fill up. Let's keep going. This is actually my wedding dress design. I didn't want to buy my own wedding dress. If I was going to be forced to wear a dress to my wedding, I wanted it to be a costume. So I went ahead and designed it. These are all like autumn leaves, and I've got butterflies on my sleeves and on my whatever. And then we've got the back side of it here. My list of my notions, the amount of butterflies I needed, more leaves, a big sunflower on the back. This was the design for the cake, because I also made my own cake. Very cheap wedding, very hard working weddings. Couple more things, planning for wedding, planning for the dress, figuring out what pieces were going to be what. This was an idea for a fan fiction I had, and I cannot tell you what my thought process here was. I know the idea behind the fic, and I could probably still do another map out, but I have no idea what half of this means. Like, Geordie funeral? What the hell does that mean? I have no idea. Oh god, sorry. Next we have a set of gel pens that a friend gave me. This is me just swatching them out, putting them in different categories so that I could organize them in their little packaging. Aha! Took almost a full year to start drawing again. For some reason, I wanted to focus on hands and drawing from reference, so I started here with senshi stock poses. I almost became discouraged when this one didn't turn out too great, but I kept going. Smiley face from me. And I don't even know if you can see how light this sketch is, but we got a shoulder, a little arm, stick finger, hand coming out here, and I just put an X through it because I was getting too irritated. I remembered, don't draw big, draw medium. So I turned the page. This is sideways, but I drew the same pose in medium. Loved this hand that came out of it, but could not figure out how to do this one. So I decided, you know, later, maybe I need to work on hands a little bit, but we got a nice pose here with a gun. This is actually what really got me out of my block. I watched my favorite movie, Harold and Maude. You should really go watch it. It's great. It's from the 70s. It's a black comedy and yada yada. It's really good. But I would just pause the movie whenever I saw a scene that looked really cool, try my hardest to sketch it out as is, and then just keep on watching. And, you know, no faces once again because I'm out of practice, but, you know, this actually really got me back into drawing, and I was able to draw the hands really well. These ones are really good. This was the first one I drew, which is why it's like his shoulder's here, but his shirt shoulder is here, and the strap on the banjo and the hem. It, you know, it's a mess, but, you know, I improved. Look at this tie. Look at this jacket. Wrinkles. I always hated drawing wrinkles, but we actually got those in here a couple times. Some more hand practices. These were actually pulled from Our Flag Means Death. I was going on an airplane trip, so I screenshotted 1,000 different screenshots of Our Flag Means Death poses and got a couple different hands. I really wanted to practice the folds in their big billowy shirts. And this is a big book, all that kind of stuff. This was one that was actually done on the plane. Studies on Plane 522, so we're in last year at this point. This is actually my hand that I just, you know, did a little something with. And pulled the rest of these from some hand references. I'm pretty sure this is that New York City subway hands. I think I pulled that one from there. Another hand sketch along with, I think this is the first data that I drew, and I tried to do a realistic face. I don't like realistic faces. I like cartoony ones because I know how to draw them. And our first data page, Data and Jordy. We've also got, you know, the triplets. We've got a couple of these that are, you know, direct, what's the word I'm looking for? Thumbnail sketches, just a redraw, and then a couple of these are just, you know, the scene, but put it in my style where I'm getting used to drawing my own stuff again. Alright, we're actually starting to get into some color, but I do know that this was like retroactive color, so it was black and white with just pencil, and then when I'd been messing around my markers long enough, I just flipped back until I found something and started coloring it, and you can kind of see like the ink on the face is really blotchy, the hem is kind of really weird. This is very beginning marker for me, but a couple more Star Trek sketches. I actually really like this one. Wonky face, that is always my downfall, is a pose will look great and then I'll add the face and it junks it all up. This is the first set of alcohol markers that I ever got. I actually just gave them to my nephew today because I've got much better ones now. And then these are, I think these are Master's Touch markers, but you can barely see a sketch that I started and then just did not do anything with, a face. This actually was drawn way later than the rest of it. I was just looking for a blank page and I found one, but I have not finished this piece yet. But it's based on a They Might Be Giants song, and I'm planning on doing it in gouache because I love gouache, but I was having such a hard time with the perspective on these feet, these legs, that I just put it down and said, no, I'm done with this, we'll tackle it in the future. And I'm pretty sure this has been in here for like a year and a half now. But next we have a little data along with a huge journal entry that I went ahead and just blocked out because I remember being extraordinarily upset whenever I wrote this. But this is the very first time I tried to use alcohol markers. You can see I was trying to use them like colored pencils because that's the only colored media I'd ever used before. You can see how dark it is, and like it's super thick, like it even pulled the pen markings out of their lines and started bleeding and everything. And I was like, well, I hate markers. This looks terrible. I hate markers. And then I turned pages and I saw that the bleed through actually looked kind of cool. And what I did is I just took the bleed through side and just took my pen and just traced all these lines on the other side. And then, you know, we actually have a pretty cool looking bleed through data over here. And so I learned from this experience, don't coat your page with marker, especially if it's flimsy flopsy stuff that's not made for markers. I also grabbed that Crayola skin tone set that they had where they use, like, you know, the same science that makeup uses to create their skin tones, and I have never once used it because I only draw Ninja Turtles and data. This was something that I actually pulled from an old idea in my high school art class, where it's take a bunch of really tiny objects, put them in a pile, and then draw them big. So I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and try to do what my art teacher taught me. Not much, but you know, I'll try to do it and see how it goes. And it went okay. These are all earrings. A couple of my earrings that I have, probably can't tell them apart because I just sketched it out and then said, yeah, I'm bored with this, and then just turned the page. Here's a pose for, what's it called? The Kiss? I'm pretty sure it's called The Kiss that I was planning on drawing, and then, you know, just lost the inspiration and, you know, let it go. We can see some bleed through of markers over here. The Ninja Turtles begin. But I'm pretty sure this is me figuring out colors for everybody. Ninja Turtles is the first time I sketched them out once I was watching that new show. Back at it again. This was the first time I used the markers and actually enjoyed it. And actually the markers I was using at the time, you can see like the color difference. This is all the same marker. It's just that the color light fastness was so awful that it has just been in both my sketchbooks that I used it in, the color's just fading. Like there's nothing you can do about it. They were cheap markers that I got from Ross. So, you know, what are you gonna do? This was actually when like I started realizing that a sketchbook isn't one pencil drawing and a white page. A sketchbook is literally throw everything you have at the sketchbook. I should have drawn stuff in here. I just didn't. And then, you know, you can add background stuff. You can add all this, you know, line work. I can draw a Ninja Turtle on the same page I'm drawing pose references and everything. Also got a little bit of sketchy line work with some pens that I got. More swatches of those colors of the world with markers, pencils again. This was that set of alcohol markers that aren't light fast. Even like you can tell over here, these like ultra fluorescent yellow pieces, that's actually the transfer of this to this page. And yeah, it's it got so bad that I actually also just gave these to my nephew as well, because, you know, he's like 7, so it's not going to matter if his artwork is light fast, and he won't care. But yeah, I've got some pieces in here as well as in my like current sketchbook where the bleed over of the yellow is just so bad I don't even want to look at it in 10 years. Like it's going to be, I don't know, bleeding through the page. It's crazy. See, you can even see it over here on this little outline a little bit. We got a data and address. I don't even think I ever posted this one. This one's 2022 as well. I also started realizing you don't have to just draw in the sketchbook. If you have a drawing that's separate on a piece of scrap paper, you don't have to throw the scrap paper away. That's so dumb. Make sure to keep it so you can remember it and so you can learn from it. So I started learning, hey, just paste it in there if you want to. Blah, 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 make it fancy and fun around the edges. And, you know, always learning. This was my first set of the Master's Touch markers, which is the ones that you get from Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby sucks, but it is the only craft store literally in a like 50-mile radius from me, so what are you gonna do? But this was another thing. I drew this at work because I saw somebody at work who had this really cool hairstyle with their hair up in a big old messy bun. And I tried to mimic it, and then I also tried to draw it on this character here, and also really good to learn how to draw black hairstyles because, as you can see, I'm white as fuck, so I need to know how to do that stuff. So I went ahead and tried to learn how to draw that. Also got this girl right here, the purple hair and the big curly. I just took the marker and did this because I was sick of trying to draw hair that day. Next, we've got another marker spread. This was just, I drew this guy, got tired of it, didn't even draw any hair or ears or a face or anything, and said, okay, well, I want to use the markers. So I just started blocking out colors with markers. Boys rule, girls rule, yada yada. Ninja Turtle time. He's just a little guy. Had a lot of fun with these. More just pasting stuff in wherever I could find areas from it. Also, you can see that it also not only bleeds through onto the opposite page, it bleeds through onto the next page as well, which I'm so glad I got rid of those markers. This was the Rise Ninja Turtles in the same pose that they end the 2012 theme song in. I really liked this idea when I had it. Sketched it out and said, alright, good enough for me, we're done, and we don't ever have to touch it ever again. This was like some of those color change markers where you get one color, you grab this white marker, color over it, and it changes the color. But, you know, I knew that it was going to fade, so I marked the date whenever I actually put the page on there, and you can if you can even tell that it changed. I don't think you can. A little Raphael red sketch. I got a couple different markers, and I decided every time I buy a handful of markers, I'm going to go ahead and just make a spread with that marker set. And so I grabbed some reds, yellow, and a warm gray. Bad choice. I did not like the warm gray and still really don't. But I sketched out a raft using only the marker. I didn't want any pencil on there to see how my control with the actual tools had gotten. Got a, I believe this is lore up here. Yeah, this is lore with hair that's going way outside of the lines. Whatever. This was actually some drawings with those color change markers. I promise you they did look a little bit better at one point, but now it's just like mud and fuzz. I got a couple sketches over here. I actually really like this pose, but just haven't done anything with it. This is when I actually started getting the full sets of the markers, like the 6 and 7 packs and whatnot. Love this spread. This was like the first time where I did a spread and I was like, okay, I get it. I get what sketchbooks are for. I get what it's all about. I understand what makes sketchbooks so fun and so messy and, oh, I'm knocking into stuff, sorry. What makes them, you know, so enjoyable to actually own. It's not, you don't have to deal with the stress of making sure everything's perfect because it's a sketchbook. It's supposed to be for you and for the people that you trust to look at it. So, you know, really helped out with some of that sketchbook anxiety. Got a couple of Donnies where I was trying out like swapping their styles. So Rise Donnie would be, you know, the more soft and nerdy of the 2012, while 2012 had, you know, the big eyebrows and, you know, the sort of deadpan comedy that Rise has. Got a little insert here. It's almost 3 a.m. means I had some insomnia and came in here to sketch, trying to get it to go away. The Donnie page came next. I got my purple and pink set. I had drawn, oh sorry, I draw Jenny on this one because, you know, I was trying to think of other blue cartoon characters. And so I was thinking of purple cartoon characters. Twilight Sparkle immediately came to mind. I do believe this green has actually faded. I think it was a little bit darker when I laid it down, but, you know, what you gonna do? A couple little swatches, MC, and some fun t-shirt paint that I bought on discount. Here's the Mikey page. Had all the full set of oranges, and I added in a green so I could at least have the green for his skin. This was like my dollar store art supplies haul. These watercolor pencils were so atrocious. I stopped swatching after the green and just threw the set away because it was just a colored pencil that could barely be reactivated with water, so it wasn't even worth it at that point. Got our Mikey page. This is the one that I actually finished of my They Might Be Giants like song gouache paintings, but this one I've got hanging up, and it is actually one of the posts that I've made. It's the You're on Fire. Got another swatch page with my gouache and my tritone pencils. Got our raft page here, which all these reds have this huge bleed through on this side. Like, it looks fluorescent to you. It's very yellow, but not as fluorescent as you're seeing. Up next, stickers. I just grabbed one sticker out of every page in my little sticker sheets and just plopped them on there. This is actually my thumbnail idea because I was almost done with this sketchbook here, and I knew I was going to start up my new one soon, and I wanted that intro page because I'd never done that before, and I'd seen a lot of people had done it. It was mostly the reason I wanted to do it was if I had accidentally left my sketchbook somewhere, someone would at least know how to contact me, or like, no, hey, please don't throw this away, like I will come back for it sort of situation. So I planned that and sketched it out here and then never transferred it to here. There's a like circle with a shoulder and the book is there, and that's it. I never drew a face, I never drew hair, I never drew anything. Just the very basic outline sketch, and then I got too excited to draw actual stuff and just took off and never actually did the intro page. Now, I believe this is when I started buying my sets really quickly because they were all on sale. And so I'd laid them all out and said, oh, let me go ahead and lay out my next one, and then laid them all out, and then just forgot to ever go back and make the actual spread. It's a couple of, I guarantee you, insomnia sketches. Here's a green page that never got done. A skin tone page that never got done. Oh, we got some Brit and Tiff sketches. I actually really like this one up here. This one's nice. And then I just went with the markers over here and tried to just loosey-goosey get it down really quick. Some more swatches. Another where I'm trying to start a new page. And ba-da-da, that's it. So this book was started in 2015 and it ended in 2022. Took me, what is that, 7 years? 7 years to fill this thing up? Yeah. So I mainly made this video because I saw a lot of people beating themselves up about their sketchbooks and worrying that they didn't want to draw certain things, even in their sketchbook, because it would look ugly and it wouldn't look perfect and it's not going to look like, you know, the Mona Lisa or whatever. It's like a sketchbook is not the Mona Lisa. A sketchbook is a sketchbook, and your sketchbook is not Leonardo da Vinci's sketchbook, and it's not your favorite YouTuber's sketchbook, and it's not a professional artist's sketchbook, unless you are a professional artist. But you know, this is not aimed at professional artists. This is aimed at people like me who draw in their spare time, who have a pencil and paper, who eventually start getting markers to go with their paper. Like, I just wanted to make this because I've looked for some messy sketchbook reviews and tours, and every single messy sketchbook I found, every page was the Mona Lisa, and every single one was a YouTuber that had a whole big camera set up, and they had perfect lights, and they had a perfect sketchbook that cost them $30, and you know, they've got all these supplies and all this experience. And I just wanted to show that you don't have to have a professional artist quality sketchbook to be an artist. You can just enjoy drawing what you want to draw and be okay with it looking like garbage because it's a sketchbook. And please don't erase your bad drawings, because the previous sketchbook I had before this, I used to do that a lot, where if I didn't like something, I would put a big X through it and scribble it out really, really hard, or I would take an eraser and erase it all, and I'd get so frustrated and I wouldn't draw for 2 months after that. And that's honestly what caused that huge block in my art for years. I didn't draw anything for years. But once I realized that, you know, not everything you draw has to be the greatest thing you've ever drawn, I started realizing, hey, I can just draw a head today. I can just draw a body with no face today. I can just draw lines of action today. Or sometimes I just sit here and I do swatches. Swatches of stuff I've already done swatches for. Like, these are my marker swatch pages. I've probably remade these 4 or 5 times just because I want to do something with my hands, but I don't have the energy or the inspiration to draw, so I just make swatches of my markers. And then if I buy a new one, I do the whole thing all over again. Just keep making swatches. So, you know, I didn't really think of an ending to this, and it looks like it's cutting it close to the 35-minute mark. Didn't think it was going to take that long. But I would like to eventually do a tour of my new sketchbook, which I've been having a lot of fun doing. You can see, you know, my attitude has changed from being clean and perfect and perfection to stickers, stickers, stickers. Put stickers on it. Put a little... You know, this is little decapitated heads of Elsa and Anna at the end of my ribbon. Like, this was where I really started, you know, coming into my own sketchbook And I really like this one, but I don't know if I want to give a sneak peek until it's actually done. I'm a little over halfway through it. Still haven't drawn the intro page, but you know, it might happen eventually. Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to keep creating art no matter how ugly it looks.